Just now I have unmuted. So far I have taught you people. You didn't tell at all. Okay. So in today's class, we are going to see about the terminologies in graph data structure. As we all know, we have two types of data structure, linear and non-linear data structure. Under linear, we have what? Arrays, list, stack, and queue. Those are all linear data structures. Under non-linear data structure, we have two main examples, trees and graphs. Are you able to see the screen, students? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in third unit we saw tree. Just I'm asking, if I have only one node, can we say it as a tree or not? Either tree or binary tree. Is it a tree or not? If it is having only one node, you can put it in chat also. Yes. So I got one answer. Yes. So if I have only one node, at least we can call it as a tree data structure. Similarly, graph also, you can have a minimum of only one node, but there won't be any edge at all. Actually, there is no use if I have only one node in a graph, because graph is mainly meant for traversing from one part to other part, or one place to other place, one node to other node. In the ICs, in the design of integrated chips and all, from one particular point to other particular point, you want to connect. So for these applications, we are using the graph data structure. Yes. So you can have only one node also, that can also be accepted as a graph. Then how the nodes are connected? Through edges. Nodes are nothing but vertices. In simple words, hereafter in graph we can call it as vertex itself. I don't want to confuse it with the node in the tree. In tree also you are aware of the word called node. Here in graph theory we can call that node as vertex, and the edge that is connecting the two vertices can also be called as arc or links. Now, are you aware of this? Any of these problems? We are going to see these things only now. From the next class only, I am going to teach about the representation of graph, because you must know at least few real-time applications related to graph. As told earlier, we are crossing the data structure. This almost all the data structures in our day-to-day application. Especially, we are using graph in lot more applications. Is anyone aware of Chinese postman problem? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay, we can watch that video. Then traveling salesman problem. So you are new to these things, I hope. Third one is graph coloring. You saw some Sudoku puzzles and all. There may be different colors used. In that they are using the graph concept. And the last one is the river crossing problem. This is a very common puzzle. It's like a puzzle only. Sheep, wolf, and cabbage. All a person having all these three in one side of the river, he has to cross that river. This you are very much familiar. ஆடு புலி புல் அந்த கேம் சொல்லுவோம்ல, அதுதான் இங்கிலீஷ்ல இப்படி கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. ஷீப், wolf and cabbage. Okay, so let me watch that first video related to Chinese postman problem. Then at the end I will move on to that last problem. Okay, now watch this video. Here we are going to see one term called Euler's circuit or Euler path. I'll explain it in the forthcoming classes. Just look at it.
Chinese postman problem. It is the problem that the Chinese postman faces. He wishes to travel along every road in a city in order to deliver letters with the least possible distance. The problem is how to find a shortest closed walk of the graph in which each edge is traversed at least once. In graph theory, An Euler cycle in a connected weighted graph is called the Chinese postman problem. In real life, it is applied in school bus routing, transmission line inspections, road sweeping, trash collection, etc. Next are the applications of Hamilton paths and circuits. The traveling salesman problem is to find the cheapest tour of a selected number of cities such that to visit each city once and return to the original starting point. In graph theory, it is Hamilton path and circuit. In real life, it is applied in routing buses, delivering meals, telecommunication networks, microchip layout, and many more. Next, our topic is about colors, that is graph coloring. It is like a game. We have to color all the vertices of the graphs so that no two adjacent vertices have same color. Look at the graph. Let's color the vertices of graphs so that no adjacent vertices have same color. Let first vertex is red, second is green, third is blue, and joining the vertices we get graph. So we use 3 colors. Similarly, to color the vertices of this graph so that no two adjacent vertices have same color, how many colors do we need? We need 5 colors like this. So to color all the vertices of the graph so that no two adjacent vertices have same color is graph coloring. The minimum number of colors required for graph coloring is chromatic number. Also, chromatic numbers of a complete graph with n vertices is n, as we discussed. Here, the chromatic number is 3 and 5 respectively. 4-color theorem. If the regions of any map M are colored so that adjacent regions have different colors, then no more than 4 colors are required. Now, we will discuss some applications of graph coloring. It is used in traffic signal design, coloring maps, scheduling, gaming like Sudoku, and many more. Thank you. Hello, Lan.
Hope you got some overview about the applications of graph. So as told, this Chinese postman problem, traveling salesman problem, graph coloring, and then that 4-color theorem. You can watch this video later. I will post the link in the chat at the end of the session also, if you have any doubts. Okay. So in that graph coloring, she has mentioned one thing. While we are playing Sudoku, no 2 colors should be adjacent. So accordingly, you have to change the colors in such a way that no 2 nodes should have the same color. That means what? You have to find the adjacent nodes. So in the morning class, I told about adjacent nodes. If 2 nodes are acting as the endpoints for a particular edge, means then those 2 vertices are said to be adjacent. Yes. So here, look at this one. You are having 6 vertices. Here A and B are adjacent. A and C are adjacent. So what are the adjacent vertices to A, B and C? But when we look at vertex D, how many adjacent nodes are there? B, C, E and F. There are 4 vertices that are adjacent to D. Okay. So we'll look at that puzzle during the end of the class. Let's have some relaxation during the end of the class. We'll watch that video. You are very familiar with the solution of that puzzle, that wolf, cabbage, that goat problem. But how? But you can check how the graph is applied there. We'll move on with the different states and all. We'll check the video at the end of the session. Just we are going to discuss the basic terminologies in this session. So please listen carefully. Note down all the important points in your notebook. With this, I have stopped. What do you mean by outgoing edge and what do you mean by incoming edges? So you can try this one. So how many incoming
corners.
One second. So how many incoming edges are there for vertex Y? You look at vertex Y. How many nodes are incident on that particular vertex?
One,
Only
ma'am.
one edge. Yes, only one edge is incident on Y from the vertex W. So the incoming edge is only one. How many outgoing edges from Y? That also you have to check. Only Y. That is also one. Yes, because from Y there is a path to X through edge G. So the outgoing edge is one. Also, it's not necessary that both the incoming and the outgoing edges should be same for all the vertices. For example, in this Y, we have incoming as one and outgoing as also one. But look at this Z. How many incoming edges are there for Z? Think and tell. How many incoming edges are there for vertex Z? Anyone unmute and tell? Or
Two, ma'am.
two, because you have to look at the
Two,
cell
ma'am.
also. One edge H and another edge J. This edge is pointing to itself. Self loop is possible in graph, but it is not possible in tree. That is one of the important differences between tree and graph data structure. Okay. So there are two incoming edges to Z, but there is only one outgoing edge. Yes. Similarly, you have to calculate the different incoming and outgoing edges. That with this I have stopped the morning. Now let's see how we can mention whether the two vertices are adjacent. Only if they are the endpoints of an edge, then only we can call it as adjacent vertices. Here, A and B are adjacent. A and C are adjacent. Adjacent means the neighbor vertex for A or what? B and C. The neighbor vertex for B or what? A, C and D. If there is path means if there is a direct path. That means if they are considered as endpoints means then we can call those vertices as adjacent vertices. Okay. But look at A and D. Though there is path from A to D, we can't tell it as adjacent because there is no direct path. A and D are not considered as endpoints because there is no edge between A and D. So we can't tell it as adjacent nodes. Got it? But we can start from A and we can go to D through whom? Either through B or through C. Got it? Assume cities. You have some 4 cities. You are going to travel from A. You have to travel from A to D. There is no direct path from A to D, but you can travel to B, then to D, or you can travel to C and then to D. So this is the way of finding the adjacent node. Here B and C are adjacent to A, but D is not adjacent to A. Okay. Next, another important terminology, degree. Finding the degree of the nodes in a particular graph. So how many edges incident on a particular node? Incident means either incoming or outgoing nodes. Okay, incident, that is the general meaning for incident. Simple definition is number of edges incident on a node. That is called as the degree. Based on the incoming and outgoing edges, we can further mention the degree as in degree and out degree. First, let's see with this. Okay, this is for undirected graph. This one is an undirected graph. There is no direction from one vertex to another vertex. This means there can be a path from A to B and B to A also. So here you can check the degree of B is how many edges are incident. Either it can leave or it can come. Here we can't predict because this is an undirected graph. How many edges are connected to that particular node? That is called as the degree. Okay. What is the degree of D here?
0, ma'am.
0. Good.
0.
D is 0 because there is no edge. Then degree of C is 1 because only one edge is incident on the particular node. So likewise, we are finding the degree. For directed and undirected graph, this one is easy. For undirected graph, it is easy. But for directed graph, you are going to calculate two things, in degree and out degree. In degree means the number of edges entering the particular node. That is how many edges are coming to that particular node. That is called as in degree. How many edges leaving the particular node. As told earlier, here node is nothing but vertex. Have it in your mind. So out degree means number of edges that are leaving, that are passing out from that particular vertex. That is called as out degree. You have to sum both the in degree and out degree to get the total degree. Because degree means number of edges incident. It can be either the leaving edges or the incoming edges. You have to find both and you have to add it. Okay. Let us see this example. I'll give time if you want to draw also. Just in a shorter way, you can also draw. So here you are having 4 vertices. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And 2 is having self loop. 2 connected to itself. Okay. It's a directed graph because the direction is there. It means that there is a path from node 1 to node 2. There is no path from 2 to 1 directly. Yes, but I can reach the vertex 1 from node, that means from vertex 2. How? You can look at the diagram and you can tell, or I will tell. In the forthcoming classes, we will have some discussion. There is direct path from 1 to 2, but there is no path from 2 to 1. But if I want to reach from 2 to 1 means you have to find the alternate paths. Here there is no direct edge. So what can we do? You have to check whether there is any other path. There is path from what? 2 to 4. Yes. Look at the direction. That is important. 2 to 4 there is a path. So you can travel from 2 to 4. Then what? From 4 to 1 there is path. So you can choose that path. That is one path. Another one, you can go from 2 to 5. Then what? 5 to 4 and then 4 to 1. So these are the different paths to reach from 2 to 1, though there is no direct path. Got it? So among these, you have to find the shortest distance. For that, we have different algorithms. We will discuss in the later classes. Okay. So here, the in degree of 2 is what? For the vertex 2, in degree is from 1, there is one edge pointing, and also it is having one self loop. It's pointing to itself. So 2. The in degree of 2 is 2. Similarly, what is the out degree? Out degree is 3. Why? How can we say out degree as 3? That self loop, it is considered both for in degree and out degree. Okay. From 2, how many edges are leaving? From 2, there is one edge leaving to 4, then to 5, and then to 2 itself. Self loop, it is considered for both in degree and out degree. In the previous thing, I told it wrongly, just correct it. So here the out degree of 2 is 3. Okay. If any node is having a self loop, the count will be considered for both in degree and out degree. Next, path. These are simple definitions. Maybe ask questions like this. Define path. Define in degree, out degree, etc. Okay. So path is nothing but, I told, there is path from 2 to 1. How it means you have to search whether there are any other paths possible, alternate path possible. So it's nothing but sequence of vertices such that there is an edge from each vertex to its successor. Successor means what? The next vertex. Okay. Predecessor means the previous vertex. So if there is a path from, if there is an edge from particular vertex to its successor means, then we can call it as a path. Here, there is an edge from 1 to 2. So there is path from 1 to 2. There is an edge from 2 to 4. So I can have path from 2 to 4. Similarly, 4 to 1. But there is no path from 1 to 4 because there is no edge from that particular vertex to the vertex 4. So there is no path from 1 to 4, but there is path from 4 to 1. Make it clear, don't get confused. Okay. So a path can be called as simple if each vertex is distinct. Distinct means different. There is no self loop and all. Okay, if each vertex is different means we can call that path as a simple path. Yes. Then one more term, circuit. A circuit is a path in which the terminal vertex coincides with the initial vertex. That means what? I am going to reach the same vertex. I am starting from one vertex, and if I am going to have a path in such a way that I am reaching the same vertex, source vertex means, then that is called as circuit. You can see that example itself. Here, how a path can be different from a simple path. In a simple path, all vertices should be different. But in a normal path, the same vertex can be repeated. Yes, that's the simple difference between the path and the simple path. So look at this example. Here you have simple path as 1, 2, 4 and 5. Yes, look at the diagram. There is path from 1 to 2, 2 to 4 and 4 to 5. Just it's mentioned in dotted lines, no problem. There is a path. So that is called a simple path. All vertices are different. No vertex is repeated. That is simple path. But we can reach 1, 2, 4, 5. Again I can come to 4. This is called as a path. But what is circuit? Both the source and the destination. If they are same means, then that is called as circuit. That means cycle formation. The formation of cycle is a very important terminology we are going to see. For detecting many problems, for detecting many errors and all, we are using the cycle formation. So that is called as a circuit. So 1, starting from 1, going to 2, then what? 4, then 5, then from 5 I am going to 4, again from 4 I am reaching what? 1. So I am reaching the same vertex. So the terminal vertex coincides with the initial vertex. Terminal means the last vertex. Initial is your source vertex. If they are coinciding means, then that is called as a circuit. Okay. Here, look at this next one. There is no path from 3 to 6. But there is a path from 6 to 3. Can we say this path as a simple path? Just look at this two nodes itself. We are having vertex 3 and vertex 6. Can we say the path as a simple path? There is path from 6 to 3. So 6, 3. If I am writing like this means it is the path, and we can also say it as a simple path because both the vertices are different only. But can we say it as a circuit here? 6, 3, 6. Is it possible? No. Only for there is path from
No, ma'am.
yes. So there is no is the correct answer. So there is only path from 6 to 3. There is no path from 3 to 6. So it cannot be called as a circuit. If I am reaching the same place, then that is called as a circuit. This is called a cycle formation in graph. Look at this one. 1, 2, 4, 1. This itself is a circuit. As told earlier, a graph can have any number of subgraphs. This 1, 2, 4 itself can be a graph. Okay. This 2, 4, 5 can be a graph. This 3 and 6 can be a subgraph. We can divide it into many subgraphs. Okay. Hope you are clear with this path and simple path and then circuit. Simple path means all vertices should be different, but there should be a path from the particular vertex to other vertices. Then, based on the circuit, we are going to see cycle, another terminology called as cycle. A path from a vertex to itself. That thing only we have seen. In the circuit, what it means, if the terminal vertex coincides with the initial vertex. When will it coincide? Only if there is a path. Okay. So a path from a vertex to itself is called as a cycle. Very, very important definition or the terminology that is used in graph. If a vertex, if there is a path from a particular vertex to itself, it doesn't mean that all the self loops are only cycles. All the self loop can be cycle. A pointing to itself, B pointing to itself. That is cycle. But apart from that, if I am having alternate paths to reach my same vertex, then that is called as a cycle. A graph is said to be cyclic if it contains cycle. If a graph does not contain cycle means then that is called as acyclic graph. Pronounce it like this. Acyclic is also okay, but acyclic. Based on this, you are having an important acronym called as DAG, DAG. You can note it. I didn't mention it in this slide. DAG means directed acyclic graph. We are going to see all these terminologies only. Directed acyclic graph. That means a graph which is directed, but there is no cycle formation at all. Can we say this example itself as a cyclic graph? No, because there is cycle formation. If you have at least one cycle formation in any subgraph, then that graph won't be a cyclic graph. Got it? The full graph cycle the full graph or part cycle formation then that is called as a acyclic or acyclic graph. So here 1 to 2 there is path, then 2 to 4, 4 to 1 there is cycle formation. This itself 4 to 5, 5 to 4 cycle is formed. Okay, so this is cyclic graph. Here 6 to 3, this subgraph may not be cyclic. Okay, if you have any doubts, you post it in chat. We'll discuss during the end of the session, or you can unmute and ask. Next, actually these are not different variations of graph, not types of graph. We are having two terminologies with respect to graph: null graph and then trivial graph. Null graph means if there is no edge at all, then that is called as a null graph or empty graph. Here you can accept this as a graph V1, V2, V3, but there is no use at all in finding some distance like that. Only if I have some edge I can use it. Okay, so but there is but this thing you have to remember: null or empty graph. That graph contains no edges, only the node will be there. Okay, now that is many number of nodes will be there, but there won't be any edges. That is called as null or empty graph. Because you will see that second one, trivial graph, don't get confused. A trivial graph is nothing but a graph with one vertex and no edge. What's the difference between this null graph and trivial graph in this example? In this null graph, we are having 3 vertices. It cannot be called as a trivial graph. Okay, though there are no edges, here 3 vertices are there. If I have more than 1 vertices but no edges means that is called as null graph. But if I have only 1 vertex and no edge means that is called as trivial graph. So for finding the traveling salesman or the Chinese postman problem, obviously we have to start with the null graph. We are using it in many applications. We will have different cities are there, but not yet connected. I am going to start from one vertex, V1, and I am going to traveling to V3. That means what? A path will be created. In that situation, you are going to create an edge connecting vertex V1 and vertex V3. Okay. Initially, for any problem, you will start with the null graph only or empty graph. Okay. In some applications, this trivial graph will be used. It has only 1 vertex and no edge. That means you can end the problem with the trivial graph. That means what? You are reaching the solution by trivial graph means what? You are going to reach the solution with only 1 node finally or 1 vertex finally. That in that situation you can use the trivial graph. Next, connected and disconnected. All are simple terms only, but you have to go through all these things. What do you mean by connected graph? Connected means I have 2 vertices independently, whether if it is connected or not. No, only if there is a path. Okay, at least 1 path, that is important. There exists at least 1 path between 2 vertices, then that is called as connected. If there is no path at all means it is called as disconnected. In this previous example, there is no path at all from 2 to 3. So that is disconnected. But this entire structure can be called as a graph. Here you are having so many subgraphs, but this part is disconnected. 3 and 6, this can be called as a graph, but this is disconnected from this part, 1, 2, 4, 5, these vertices. Okay. So that is called as connected and disconnected. Look at this diagrams. Three different representations are given. H1. How many vertices are there? 2 vertices. D and C are the vertices connected by one edge. So it is connected. Look at H2. H2 is also connected, but there are different paths. I can have path from A to B, then what? A to D, B to E, etc. This is also connected. There should be at least one path between 2 vertices. Here, look at H3. This is disconnected. This entire thing can be called as a graph, but this graph is a disconnected graph. This also. This one is a disconnected graph. Okay. Because there is no path from the particular vertex A to B like that. If I remove this A and E means then the remaining thing B, C, D, they can be called as a graph. Okay, B and C connected, C and D connected. But as a whole, H3 is disconnected graph. Yes, one more thing here, just I told, if I remove A and E, just now I told it, you think and tell whether I am right or wrong. If I remove that A and E itself from that H3, the remaining things can we call it as a connected graph? Look at that definition and tell me there exists at least one path between 2 vertices.
Yes, ma'am.
How it is yes? Is there path between B and D? There is no path between B and D. So this is a disconnected graph, though I am not having A and D. Okay. But now tell, can we say this B, C and D as a tree data structure or not? This is a tree data structure. Look at this BCD itself. Okay. Again I repeat, there is no path. Because connected means there exists at least one path between 2 vertices. Okay. So this BCD can be called as a tree. A tree can be easily converted into graph by connecting through edges. Normally we use imagine tree in the vertical direction only. You can have it in the horizontal way also. You are having a root node. From that root node you are having different branches. Yes. From those branches you may have different branches, etc. But there won't be any cycle formation in tree. Yes, but here you can have cycle formation in graph. That is the difference between tree and the graph. So this BCD can be called as tree. If I am connecting this D with B, if there is an edge from D to B means then we can call it as a graph. It is also a connected graph. So you can easily say whether a tree can be converted into graph by connecting the edges. Similarly, when can a graph become tree? Can anyone tell? When can a graph become tree? If there is no cycle formation in a graph means
there is no loop, ma'am.
Yes. Somebody trying to answer. Yes. If there is no cycle formation means then that is called as a tree. Normally in graph there will be at least one cycle formation. So only we are using that different term called as graph. If there is cycle in a graph means it is not considered as a tree itself. Okay. Just in simple ways I am telling. You can remember in your own manner. Got it? So we can see these examples in the next class. Just I want to play one more video. We can have it for okay, we'll discuss this video in the next class because we are running out of time. It's an interesting puzzle only. You'll all have solutions for that problem itself. Wolf, sheep, and then cabbage problem. You are having all these three in one side of the river. You have to move the one by one to the other side of the river. At the end, all the three things should be at the end of the river. Suppose if sheep and cabbage are in the same place means sheep will eat the cabbage. Sheep and wolf are in same place means wolf will eat the sheep. Yes, we'll discuss this puzzle in tomorrow's class. In the beginning itself, just come with the solution. I will ask any one of you. Okay. Thank you, students. If you